There's some Revelator songs that I'm like, man, we got to bring those back. But we've done so many songs and albums. There's like so much to choose from that I guess we don't think about it all the time.
You need to get you a really good slide player in Nashville, and you guys need to cover a Derek Truck song.
He told me Susan wrote the song, which he was proud of. He said that with great pride, the way you say nice things about your family.
From the first note with Tedeschi trucks, they just blow you away.
Yes, we will. I wouldn't argue with anyone that says that could be my favorite song on I Am the Moon.
He, signs my ticket, and I look over at Susan. I say, Susan, would you sign it too? And she goes, oh, heck yeah.
Kevin calls me and was like, hey, man, what are you doing? I was like, nothing. He was like, Derek wants to record some tuba stuff. I said, when do you want to do it? And he was like, let's do it Wednesday.
It was Midnight Harlem. And it caught our attention, man. And we started diving deep, and we're like, okay, we got to see these guys.
What's up? Welcome to the unofficial Tedeschi Trucks podcast. This is episode 177, and I'm Adam Choit. Follow the show. It's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram. On YouTube, please subscribe. Please subscribe on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. Like the show, share the show. Comments are all appreciated. We're on iHeartRadio and Odyssey as well. If you listen to podcasts on those platforms, I'll be putting out the audio version later tonight, tomorrow, definitely soon. Patreon.com/TTB podcast. If you want to support, that's definitely appreciated as well. Patreon.com/TTB podcast. I want to give shout outs to Kathleen, Stacy, Troy, Daniel, Mariah, and Marion for supporting. I definitely appreciate it. It means a lot. But today we're going to talk about TTB's last show. What was it? October 11th. Riverfront Revival, North Charleston, South Carolina. We got Larry James returning and newcomer Paul Winslow. So let's bring them in. What's up, guys?
Hey, how are you?
Apologize to the audience if we got a little bit of an echo. We're gonna do our best to power through it. So I think it might be only when I'm talking, but we'll see. Why don't we go around the room? Paul, why don't you tell me where you're located, a little bit about your musical journey and how you got into TTB.
Okay, I'm actually located in Moncks Corner, South Carolina, which is about an hour west of Charleston. And I discovered TTB, I think during COVID. I was just kind of going through YouTube, listening to some music, and stumbled across Angel from Montgomery, and just fell in love with that and went deep down the rabbit hole. And my first show was actually the Red Rock show in 2021, their first show back at Red Rocks after COVID. And I've been on the train ever since then.
Nice. How many times have you seen the band in just a short while?
23 times.
Whoa.
No, 22. I'm sorry, 22.
And that's just in the last 3
years.
Nice. Yeah, so you got hardcore into the band like
I
right
did.
away. What were you listening to before then? Were you an Allman Brothers who hadn't really just got into TTB?
I mean, I listened to some Allman Brothers, but no, I've kind of gone down that rabbit hole as well. Dave Matthews and a lot of jam band stuff and classic rock. Nothing as hardcore TTB. Like I said, I really fell hard. So.
Yeah, I gather when you find it, when you know, there's been obviously a handful of, I guess, latecomers, what you'd call it, but that's not, it's all relative, I guess. And I keep saying it the passion, it's like, I assume you've probably been following the band longer because I know your passion. I see you posting. I met you at shows and all that. So It's like, I'm like, oh, this guy's probably been saw Derek, 15 years ago or something. But if 2 years or 10 years, everyone just loves this band.
I'd heard of them. I knew their names, and just never really gave them a listen, or didn't really at the time just didn't appreciate it, I guess. And I certainly do now, obviously.
Where did you say you're located?
About an hour west of Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay, so you're about an hour from the venue.
roughly. Yeah.
Gotcha. Where are you at these days, Larry? You're home, looks like.
Yeah, I'm at home. I'm in actually a small bedroom community of Charleston called Somerville. I'm due south of Monk's Corner. So Charleston's like a peninsula on the eastern seaboard, and there's, like most cities, have a lot of bedroom communities. And Monk's Corner, Somerville, West Ashley, Mount Pleasant, these are all residential areas outside of the city of Charleston. So
Nice. And I guess I'll let you guys tell me about the show. I'll give you the floors of this was a festival.
yeah, this is definitely a festival. When they announced it, I wasn't excited that we would have to pay the festival fees and wait around for our favorite band to play, particularly in a festival that was more geared towards pop music. And I guess Hootie and the Blowfish was the headlining act for the Saturday night, and they're the band that actually hosted the festival itself. We didn't really understand as fans like how TTB fits into that, but as TTB is a huge draw for all festivals, just all music lovers, I think it was actually a pretty good fit.
Yeah, TTB has like a chameleon quality to them where they could be on a rock tour or a blues tour. And I guess maybe this is like Americana pop. I mean, Pootie and the Blowfish has dabbled into country, haven't they?
Yeah, Darius Rucker definitely had a career. Yeah,
it's just a hat.
It's just a hat, right? He wears a country hat. He definitely has a history of playing some country music. I'm not too much of a fan of that music. Obviously, like Paul, I kind of trend towards the jam band and the classic rock kind of genre. Growing up in Charleston, I always knew who they were. Obviously, when they became famous, it was during my college years in the 90s. So it was kind of hard to get away from it. But you're also proud that a band from South Carolina could be that popular, which is, South Carolina's a pretty small state when it comes down to it. So
I just remember, like, growing up, I was more into, like you, even like classic rock, while everyone else might have been listening to rap or Hootie and the Blowfish. And I knew of popular acts, from my era. I was always more into the blues and classic rock. So something does kind of at least impress me that Hootie and the Blowfish is still a thing, that even bands like Green Day or Pearl Jam are still kicking around, so to speak.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, Pearl Jam's enormously popular, but Hootie and Blowfish could probably, at least sell 1,000 tickets in every major market, I think. This festival, I read on the news this morning that it drew 10,000 people every day. There was two-day festival. So that's a lot of people. Again, it's in their hometown, it's on their home turf, but at the same time, that's a lot of people. And there weren't any other bands, to my knowledge, that could draw that kind of crowd, other than TTB and maybe the Revivalists. Paul, have you heard of them before?
The Revivalist?
Yeah.
No, I hadn't actually. But as far as what you were saying, I was shocked when I walked in at how many people were there and how big the venue was.
Right.
I did not expect that many people to be there.
Right. I mean, it's a gorgeous setting. Adam, I think I sent you a photo. Getting back to, we don't have a lot of festivals in South Carolina, particularly in Charleston. There used to be more, but since COVID, things have slowed down a lot. This setting actually is right along the river, as you can see.
This is not I don't think this is the event. I just grabbed this from online. This photo, but this is the correct location, right?
That is the actual location. Yeah. So the stage is where the stage would be, and I think this is last year's photo from previous year. But you can see, it's a nice waterfront setting. It's a park on a former Navy base, actually, that's decommissioned in the late 80s, early 90s. and they've now turned it into a city park. And so you have big open green spaces, walkways along the water, plenty of positions for beer tents and all kind of infrastructure there. There's a nice walk bridge to the far right. That's a walking bridge. It's a pedestrian bridge, actually. And the parking's on the other side, so there's no
over
vehicle.
Here.
Yeah, the parking's over there, so there's no vehicle traffic within the grounds. So it's really nice to walk around. And I mean, much like the photo shows, it was a beautiful October day. It was like high of 80 and gorgeous sunny day. I mean, it was a perfect day for a festival.
What time did TTB take the stage?
9:15, so very late actually for TTB.
I'm always curious, and I guess we can get into the show unless there's other setup or pre-TTB stuff that you guys want to talk about. But I'm always curious about like the vibe of the show and the crowd in terms of like who can you tell who's there, who's like you guys there for mostly, primarily, or at least first TTB, and who's there for, I mean, not who's there for other acts, but how do those other fans like react? How do the newbies and the inexperienced TTB fans react to TTB?
Yeah, I mean, Paul, you can comment too, but I would say it was probably 90% people seeing TTB for the first time.
Quite a few. I think everybody I talked to had never seen them before.
Yeah, we were standing next to a good friend of mine, a lifelong friend, and he and his wife were there and never seen them, and we're so excited. They were big guitar fans and obviously grew up with the same kind of classic rock interest, Allman Brothers, and Terror Trucks has been on his radar for years and just never had a chance to go see him. And this was, that's the kind of the benefit of these festivals. They do allow you to see some of the acts that you typically wouldn't go see on an individual show basis, right? But if another band draws you to it, it's kind of worth the price of ticket, And I think there were a lot of college-age kids because we have a university here. We have actually a few universities, Medical University, College of Charleston, and Charleston Southern, which actually Mark attended, apparently. So that drew a lot of people in their 20s and 30s as well to the festival, and a lot of families with kids. I mean, there was of the 6, 7, 10,000 people. I don't know how many people were there, but it was a really good group of people, and I think they were all engaged in being in the festival all day long. It started at 5 o'clock, and TTB didn't take the stage till 9. So you're talking 4 hours of seeing music, hanging out, enjoying a nice day in the park, So
how many acts did you see? Did you just go on Friday?
I just went Friday night, right? Yeah.
Just Friday night, not even in there.
Yeah. Well, the ticket was pretty pricey. In fact, I'll be honest, and I wanted to go since they announced it, and I was excited about it, but I bought my ticket the day of because I was on the fence. The ticket price was really high for a TTB show. If that was your general interest and you didn't take part in the festivities all day or the weekend. So I bit the bullet and did it, and I wanted to see him, so I couldn't miss a hometown show. So, but the good news was the proceeds went to the Children's Hospital. So, and I like to support live music. So, my ticket cost was a nothing. After the show, I was like, could have been $1,000. I would have paid it.
Yeah, that's what Randy Burshaw was like breaking it down. Because he's talking about how I guess the cap, maybe he got it. His ticket was like $96 or something, or maybe he was talking about a different show. But either way, like he was figuring out the price of ticket and then dividing it by the 12 members on the stage. And he's like, "You're telling me that listening to Mark and Alicia, they're not worth $8 each?" He's explaining it. And I'm like, when you say it like
the next level, Adam. In my head on the day of, because I was going back and forth, I was like, "Is this price ticket?" I'll just say how much I paid. I got $160. So that's to me a lot of money. But I was like, okay, they're gonna play 10 songs. So break it down. That's so much money per song. I was like, is that worth it? I was like, okay.
To see it and hear it live?
See it and hear it live, what would you put that in? It's like, okay, there goes a $15 song. There goes another 15-minute song.
Yeah.
But you go through your head the whole time, the day before or the day of, and then when you're there and after the fact, your glow, and the fact that this is the first TTB show in South Carolina since 2021. So who knows when they'll be back,
If you can go. That's just a phrase I hear people say a lot. If you can go, if you can make it happen, go. Because no one regrets going to the show, and you always feel better about yourself afterwards. And,
Yeah.
We know. We have an internal thing that tells us to go. Like, that pushes us to do it.
Right. I would have definitely felt regret if I didn't go. Not to mention this process, this festival was so seamless, and I've been bragging about it all week to my friends about it, because it's literally I parked, and Paul, I think you had a very similar experience. You just parked, got out of your car, free parking, you walk across the bridge, you can go, no lines really for drinks, bathrooms, just walk right up more or less to the stage, watch some music, and then after the show was done, we all walked back to our cars and all was back home in 20 minutes. It was not like the brutal situations that some festivals have, where you're in 2 hours apart, 2 hours of traffic getting in and out of it, and you're dealing with a bunch of drunk people and all that stuff. No.
I feel like talking to fans this year, maybe more than any other year. I don't know whether it's because it's Deuces Wild or they're trying some different venues and possibilities. I feel like people are just like super pleased for the most part with like all the venues and the logistics and the operations. Forget like the sound, the set list, and the experience of the show, but just like the service and the quality of the venues and the fan friendliness. I don't know whether it's the new places or just maybe TTB taking things to the next level in some capacity, the music or otherwise, but it seems like the experiences have gotten even better, the way people talk about the venues this year.
I think that comes with an air of maturity with the band. I mean, obviously they're at the age where they're not going to play a dingy bar, or even a
They
club.
should. I'll go.
Yeah, I know, I would too. But House of Blues kind of thing. They're at the level. They don't have to do that, but they can also pick and choose to play the nicer Wang Theater versus the dingy Orpheum. I mean, I've never been to either one, but I'm just saying, like, they're at a level now where they'll get a crowd if they're going to play the Boston Garden or the theater, or even 4 nights here versus 1 night stopping here. They do what they want, and they do it to a point when it's not going to inconvenience them at all. So
I think there's a correlation to that and what you're describing, but just because a place is nicer, I guess, or just because it's fancier, it doesn't mean that the people working there are going to be nicer or things going to run smoother per se, I guess. But when you're paying more and it's a nicer place, I guess more likely those things will come true or be true.
Right. If anyone sees that behind me, that's not a rat. It's a kitten. So
I didn't see anything. Look for a moving object.
I just saw it. We're fostering a 8-week-old kitten. She's running around here somewhere. So
you could own a rat. That's cool. I don't think I've seen any weird pets. TTB fans. What's the kitten's name? Is it a TTB band? Is it Kofi?
No, it's not Kofi. It's a female, and her name is Wednesday. The foster, the adoption agency that names them. So we watch them for a few weeks or a few months, and then we give them back. They get adopted. So.
You're allowed to change the name, but I guess sometimes people don't. You can keep it if it's a good one. You keep it.
I vote Alicia. Wednesday is a good name though.
Yeah, Wednesday is a good name. I like her. Wednesday.
Nice. Should we get into the show here?
Yeah.
I got.
I do want, before we get started, I want
Sure.
to kind of tell a funny story. Paul, maybe you can chime in here. This will kind of transition right into the show. But so Paul and I had a previous encounter in Richmond. We saw the show together last summer, and we corresponded through online. And although we never saw each other at that Richmond show last summer, we kept in touch, basically being in South Carolina. So when this show popped up, I pinged him and said, "Hey man, you're going to the show?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll be there." And I was like, "Okay, I'll buy a ticket. I'll see you there." And then we kind of corresponded one more time before we got into the venue. And of course, I showed up at 8. I think you showed up. What time did you show up?
About 7.
About 7. So we're about an hour apart. So I'm doodling around by myself. My wife didn't want to come. So I was like, well, I'm going to go get a cocktail. I went to the cocktail line. And I look at this guy in front of me. He turns around and looks at his phone and goes, "Is that Larry?" I was like, "Paul?" Literally, in 10,000 people, we stand right in front of and back to back to each other in the same cocktail line. And there's probably 5 other venues that you could get drinks at. And so, lo and behold, we ended up just, hanging out all night long and enjoying a great show.
Nice.
Actually, and
Where
Paul,
were you guys? I was gonna ask, where were you guys seats or sitting or camped out or?
We were Gabe side, probably 25, 30 yards from the stage.
I would go say 10 rows if there was, I counted about 10 heads in front of mine, about 10 rows.
10 rows,
Nice.
yeah.
Ish.
We didn't get, because there was a previous band, the Revivalists, which are pretty popular, there was a big crowd there who about 40% left, so we were able to kind of meander into the crowd to get a good spot, but there was pretty dense people in the first 3 or 4 rows that weren't moving. So, cool. But it was amazing that we ran into each other just kind of randomly.
That was very weird. You texted me and said, "I'm here," and I expected you to be across the park at the entrance. And I put my phone back in my pocket and just happened to turn around and look that way and see you behind me, and I'm like, I recognized you from your Facebook picture. That was just really weird. And it was funny. I put mine in my pocket, and you were pulling your out to reply to my message, my reply, or to see my reply. It was just really, really strange.
You didn't know the back of each other's heads well enough at that point to
or even our fronts. In front of you. Can't barely, yeah.
It was meant.
I probably wouldn't know the back of his head now anyway, regardless.
Right.
This minor convenience was meant to be.
That's right. It was PTB fate, right?
I wanted to share. I had a nice walk into the venue, going over that pedestrian bridge. I ran into Elizabeth and then also Alicia and Mark. They were heading back. The tour bus was actually across the bridge from, the park. I could see it back behind the fence back there. So I'm sure they just walked into the venue to kind of check it out and kill some time, and they were walking back.
How do you get the gear into the venue if it's a pedestrian bridge? They gotta roll it across the bridge, or they get the trucks nearby the stage?
I have no idea. They probably put the trucks in there, the equipment trucks.
There's another entrance or something.
Probably.
Yeah, I think that they didn't have. They had their instruments, but they didn't have. I think they may have rented or whatever, because it was. There she is. You can see her behind. Sorry. Yeah, they may have rented, I know the speakers and stuff were kind of there. But I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff may have been set up for everybody who performed on that stage had used the same sound system.
Right.
Perhaps.
Other than their Marshall amps and stuff. Yeah. So obviously, we hit it off pretty quick and had our cocktails and went to the spot to hang out and waited till 9:15. And all of a sudden, lights went down and the show started. And everyone's hooting and hollering. It's a big crowd, you can imagine, with the people drinking all day and having a good time. Nice weather. And Derek just starts in on the first riff of Wah Wah and off to the races. And,
you got the set list here?
Yep.
How did you make that happen?
Well, I have my ways.
going to the stage and asking for it, essentially.
Well, I tried that, but then I realized that I have another way of getting a set list, and so I decided to try that, and it was successful because they were kicking people out, and none of the roadies were giving away set lists or picks or anything. So it was kind of a dead scene at the front. You can see behind me that no one's waiting around for any of the guys, like Bobby, or I never even saw Bobby actually.
I saw him before the show, but not after.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, what point they're cleaning up here? This is after the show, obviously.
This is after the show,
obviously, if you got the settles. Who made all this mess here? Yeah, come on, guys, get it together. Throw out your trash.
Yeah, I know. People.
What are you going to do with them?
You know. So, set list is good. You want to read it off to your listeners?
Sure, Wawa. Anyhow, Do I Look Worried? Ain't That Something? Life is Crazy was not played. I think I saw that crossed out on
1999 instead.
Right.
1999 instead. What was it? Pardon Me, It Ain't Fair. Dreams, Yes It Will. Keep On Growing, not played. Correct. And Midnight in Harlem, I Want More. Bex Bolero, Angel, Made Up Mind, DMSR, and Show Me, and Let's Go Get Stoned was the encore. Is that correct?
Yeah, they just played Show Me. They didn't
just Show Me.
Yeah. So.
They did TMFR and Show Me. I think it was an option between Show Me and Let's
that's what. Yeah, it looks like that. That's what that. You can.
Yeah, that's an option.
I highly doubt you would see both of those in an encore. That's like a double encore, sort of.
Yeah.
But very, very cool. I'll let you guys talk about the highlights.
Well, I mean, I'll just start with kind of things that popped out to me. The Wah Wah was my first Wah Wah, and it's a song that was brought back this year for the first time in a long while. I think since 18, maybe. I could be.
No, they played it. They played it like a couple of times this year, but not too many times.
No, I mean this is the fifth time this year, but I'm saying this year at Red Rocks they kind of brought it back for the first time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Since a good while. I just made that up at 18, but I don't know how long it's been. But
sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's been like, they haven't played that for a year and a half. But then somebody like they haven't played that since 2018. I'm like, that's 4 or 5 years. Really, we haven't heard XYZ song in that long. But
yeah I'll cheat and look it up.
They bring it back.
What's interesting is that I kind of went on a little deep dive about it today. That's kind of my trademark, is to look up these songs too much and to read too much into it. But I'm always curious why they pick the covers they do. And Wah Wah, when they debuted it, it was in, according to Setlist.fm, it was sometime in September of 2012. And it's the same year they debuted Isn't It a Pity? So both songs off of George Harrison's All Things Must Pass. So you kind of wonder what was going on that year, or what was the influence. And I couldn't find anything directly to 2012, but in that time frame, August, September is basically the month anniversary of the concert for Bangladesh, which had a big, obviously, influence on George Harrison's career. That was his breakout concert, coming back from being a former Beatle. And Leon Russell was there, part of the crew. You had Eric Clapton, several other members, obviously Bob Dylan. It was a huge concert. And it's one of those things like a Mad Dog and Englishman kind of event. Obviously he didn't tour the whole time, but that concert alone was sought after by many people. It's like one of the best, largest musical events of the time. Obviously, George Harrison being a huge fan of all these other musicians, and then they being fans of the Beatles, it was a huge collaboration between all these groups. And Wah Wah was the opening track. So I was kind of curious to why they picked that one. But if you go back and listen to the concert for Bangladesh, there's a huge horn section, there's a vocal section. Like I said, just like the Mad Dogs, there's a big group of artists on stage. So it kind of fits the TTB vibe. So maybe someone was listening to that album and said, hey, maybe we should try it.
I think I would almost bet that, because that is like what you were saying, how the band partly was formed by them just simply watching that Mad Dogs and Englishmen original movie DVD and being like, maybe we could do this. So they were
Right.
probably watching that George Harrison concert for Bangladesh and like, oh, horns, wah wah. We love George Harrison. We love this music, this song, him. Let's do this. It sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I'll make it up, and I'll stick to it until someone proves me wrong. You got to interview Derek and Susan, ask them that first.
One of these days, I almost need to do. I should go through use AI to go through every episode I've ever done, and anytime I ever use the phrase, that would be a good question for Derek or Susan, then I can compile those, because I've asked so many hypothetical questions, I feel like, over the years, but now in my head I'm like, what would I ask them if they're on here? I don't know. I don't have anything to ask them. I would don't want to talk to them. Just play, entertain me. Let's talk about something else. That's probably almost like what they would rather maybe sometimes talk about is, they are very interesting people with a wide range of interests and hobbies and very well-rounded people. Like, I'm sure I could talk to Derek a while about just baseball and whiskey and not even get into, like, music, probably.
Yeah, I mean, most talented people like that are eclectic and they do different things, fishing and sports, and I'm sure Derek and Susan and everyone in the band is probably talented in other fields that we have no idea, So I don't see any of them as introverted closet artists, They're all very outgoing people.
I was gonna say, I'll tell Bradley, does a lot of video and social media for them, to do a video about, like, show us their hidden talents, or let them tell us about hidden talents. They had a great video. He and they had a great video today with the band.
I saw that.
You saw that opening?
That was funny.
I should pull that up and download that or play that or something. But yeah, that was super awesome. They were funny. They were pulling out. They were opening these envelopes of kind of obscure, young, cringeworthy, some more cringeworthy than others. Photos of themselves and not knowing the photos were coming, so they were surprised and reacting to, like, Susan with the big '80s hair and the standout image. Standout is totally not the right term, but Mike Madison's photo, I'm not sure what was going on with his hair, but if you haven't seen that, guys, definitely go to the band's Instagram or Facebook or whatever and watch that video they posted and hang around like the third, fourth, fifth person and see what's going on with Mike's hair, though.
Yeah,
he might be upset that that's in there.
Yeah, he didn't react too well. I mean, but I think he kind of expected something to be terrible.
Yeah, deadpan. He's got the deadpan style.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can pull up I have the actual correct set list too somewhere here.
Yeah.
Let me see if I could find that. Where the hell did that go?
I wanted to note that, like, what was interesting about the Wah Wah Anyhow transition is that on the last riff, Derek just threw the Anyhow opening riff into the transition, so it was seamless. There's no transition marker, but basically it was one. If you've listened to it, it basically is one song. They just go right into it.
Yeah, Paul, thank you for recording that on the Mixlr, Mama DD, whatever the hell her name is, account. I didn't get through the whole show. I'm getting there. What did I get up to? I got up to about midnight. But I did hear that quick transition. That's festival show. We got to pack a lot in for the people who don't know us and keep the train moving along. I mean, they have played Passaquan at festivals, and they have played some of the longer jams, but I guess for this one, they kind of... I mean, Dreams is probably at least 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was a little bit shorter version of it, I think, from my previous time seeing it. But it was... I think you said it well, Adam. Every song flowed, and they kept the beat going. And I think that was a really good idea of, like, incorporating 1999. It's a familiar tune for everyone that was listening. A lot of newbie people in the crowd. And
They
even
probably didn't even recognize that was 1999.
no, they didn't. But you
until
could tell at the end, everyone's like, okay, we know what this is now. And then of course, Mike does his, party, and everyone's just into it, and it gets the crowd really fired up.
That's what I'm hearing from you guys, the fans, telling me, like, because I'm digging the 1999 and getting into it more and more, and it's such an atmospheric, bluesy vibe. But the crowds also are loving that song, which, not that I'm like surprised, but once they recognize the cover, maybe that's also part of the excitement. But it isn't like this like upbeat dance song, really. It's more of a vibe. I keep using that word.
Yeah. Every one of the songs, and Paul, you could comment on this too, but everything had a huge solo at the end, or it kept people engaged. There was no point that was a lull. Not that there's much lull in a TTB show anyway, but sometimes with the two sets, you can have that kind of like period where it's Susan heavy singer songwriter. You don't get a big jam unless it's the first or second or last song in the set. That was the benefit of this festival set. You had like hit after hit after hit, and you had different artists singing. Susan would take a solo on Anyhow, and then Derek's obviously got the monster solo at Do I Look Worried. He's got Ain't Life Something is obviously Gabe singing, and so it's just they rotated the singers in and out, and they rotated the guitar solos in and out.
Yeah, this is like very. I can see the methods of the madness. You kind of really did get everything. Mike got his moments. You got everyone is getting their shine and show me. I'm sure the horns and whatnot. Alicia having the It Ain't Fair. You got some Allman Brothers stuff. You got Harrison. You can't really. There's nothing. Prince. You're getting a Midnight in Harlem. Bex Bolero. Like. Yep. Angel, I'm sure people will go crazy for the Angel. I don't know if you got a sugary with that or not.
We did. I mean, that's the thing. It's a festival set on paper too. You walking in, you're going to get Anyhow. You're going to get Part of Me. You're going to get Midnight in Harlem.
I guess
so. I probably would say I Want More is going to be almost every festival set too. These are just numbers, that to me I knew going in. In fact, Anyhow is and Made Up Mine, or they've been played almost 45 times this year, so they're going to get it almost every night.
Why do you think? Why do you think? Like, man, I love all their songs, obviously, but why do you think so much? I Want More and Made Up Mine specifically this year? Those two songs.
I think, the Bex Bolero has brought I Want More into the frame of just ridiculously. I mean, not
right. It's almost a reason to play Bex. Keep going with the I Am One More. They become, they're a tandem. Other than the one out of every 5 or 6 where he slips in the Soul Sacrifice.
Yeah, I mean that. No one's going to complain about getting that, or even some of the other jams they've put it into it. But the Bex Bolero is just triumphant. I just love it. It's just,
I use that word too.
It's exuberant. I don't know other describing terms, but when I first heard it in Richmond, I was like, I'm not even a Jeff Beck fan, and that's unbelievable. For some reason it didn't hit me back in college when I used to listen to Jeff Beck. I was thinking that's more like guitar centric kind of music with the TT horns and the double drums and the intense bass. You're talking, it just really grabs you, especially live. I never saw Jeff Beck, so I can't really say, but I would put it up there as one of the most just unbelievable moments in music, live music.
I love Beck Bolero as well. I'm glad we got it.
Yeah. And, I just think that the Made Up Mind's got a great beat to it. I Want More's got a fast beat,
Upbeat. They're upbeat. Upbeat songs.
Yeah, it's a festival set. I mean, there's no time for lull. You've got 9:15 to 11. And it's a sharp cutoff. So you got some familiar songs, you got some covers that are familiar as well. I mean, Dreams, obviously, you're going to get everyone who knows anything about the Allman Brothers is crazy about it. So,
Yeah, they only played like 4 sort of slower songs, and It Ain't Fair. I guess It Ain't Fair, Angel, um, Dreams is a little bit slower,
Midnight in Harlem.
and Midnight, yeah. But for the
Yeah.
most part, very upbeat
Yeah.
song. We did get a Sugary.
Yeah.
For
There was a Sugary.
Suzanne
Yeah.
chat there.
And that's, again, I've seen that played at several festivals because it's obviously very familiar with the crowd. And it's a good
The
sing-along.
crowd sang along a lot with Sugary, especially, but Angel as well. I was shocked, and it came over on the recording. You know, you could hear the crowd singing along, and you don't normally hear that very much.
What did the crowd think of TTB in general, the general vibe? Because you're saying that's 90% newbies. I mean, you're describing how they reacted during some of the songs, but just broadly, were people floored after the show? Were they, what was the vibe?
I think everyone got smiling and happy. I mean, I think it's almost impossible unless you just you're just closet fan of a particular type of music, but there's no way listening to music that came out of those speakers that you wouldn't walk away happy.
I feel like Derek's slide guitar is enough to just do that, let alone what the other 11 people do. Just him specifically playing slide guitar is enough to totally floor a newbie, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw several jaws on the ground.
Yeah.
There was a younger guy next to me at one point, tall guy, and I looked over at him a couple times, and he was just in awe at Derek's guitar playing.
Yeah, there was those 2 college girls that were behind us, Paul, and they were just into it the whole time. They were really excited for Sugary and Angel. So
I was wondering how they would, if they would like it or not, because they were probably the youngest people around us by far.
Yeah, for sure. But and that was another thing, that there was probably, at least around us, most people were in their 40s, 50s plus, so 30s.
But whether in your 40s or 50s or college age, it just like the reactions are pretty universal. Even just thinking about the way some of other artists react to Susan and Derek, and seeing Derek play, like I keep talking about how like me, you, the 3 of us, like we almost can anticipate our jaws being dropped to the ground and faces melted by Derek and Susan, and we know it's coming, and we're still totally experiencing it in the moment as a new thing. But even like other artists we've seen, whether it's Trey from Fish or like just I was gonna say that some of the other artists I'm sure were checking out Susan and Derek's and Tedeschi Trucks band set, and their jaws were probably dropped just to the floors. The same with those girls, the same as us, and
Yeah. I mean,
it's hard not to be floored by this band.
Hard, not to be. And like I said, if you're a music fan and you weren't familiar with the TTB and you just listen to the music, there's enough covers that you should recognize. Being in your 40s, 50s, 30s, whatever, they're playing Prince, George Harrison, Allman Brothers, and then they're playing their own music that they may not be familiar with, but they're clearly of the vein of the same type of 1970s spin-off what TTB is, really. I mean, it's like soul, gospel, funk. Jam music. I don't even know how to describe it. Blues, It fits into all those categories of music that most people enjoy. That's why I don't understand why they're not just astronomically popular,
It's just because people don't know them. Like enough people don't know. Because once you know, you love the band, and if you don't stick, like a high percentage of people who once they're exposed are going to stick and be into the band. So it's not them. It's just like the nature of music fandom, I guess, in 2024. I'm looking at their Facebook. I don't know when this was last updated. Exploring new ideas through songs rooted in blues infused with their own unique blend of soul, Southern soul, American roots music, authentic rock and roll, and a touch of Florida swamp magic. They did describe themselves as a blues rock soul powerhouse, and I tend to use that.
Yeah.
But funk and whatever other word you used is good too.
I mean, I think Ain't That Something is very funky. I love that song.
Yeah.
You know,
It's funky,
that's Gabe,
pop also a little bit.
Little poppy, but funky. You know, pop can be funky. So,
dude, I've been trying to figure out how to describe this band for 177 episodes.
Good luck.
Still figuring it out.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a blessing that they're not more popular. To me, as a fan, I can still get a ticket the day of, and I can find my way in a less than 10,000 person crowd. Any, you know, I don't have to deal with the headaches and things that I have to deal with being a fan of other bands, you know, like Fish, you know.
There's certainly more access and more intimacy, just speaking broadly about just like being a fan of the band. Even something maybe even more special that it's a little bit of a smaller fan community. When I say small, I mean hundreds of thousands and millions of people, whatever. But like there's... when I was looking at those like Beacon shows recently, or some of those New York shows, and people posting in the Facebook groups, the fan groups, and all this, I'm like, I know all these people, basically.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, I talked to people about our group, and I'm like, there's probably 500 people across America that actively participate in the group, you know, and there's probably 10,000 people looking on, but you know, it is a small group for a music group, you know.
I have to remember that not everyone who's a hardcore fan of this band is necessarily super active online either, or whatever. Because I'll hear stories, or I'll meet people. They're like, "Yeah, I've seen the band 40 times. I've been following Derek for forever." Blah, you know, I'm like, how are we not friends? How do I not know you? How come you know? But yeah, I get it. You know, not everyone is online or whatever. But yeah, they have a lot of hardcore fans that, you know, we've never met that are just whatever we don't know about.
Yeah, I like the backdrop. I thought that was pretty cool. Is it the same backdrop that they had at the Sturgis concert?
The Texas one.
Yeah, the Texas.
Yeah. I think so. The hamster's in the wheel thinking where I saw this too, because this does look familiar, and I don't think we've seen it.
I've seen the backdrop before, not at a theater show, but I've seen it at a festival or something like that, where they don't have their own lights and everything.
Right.
Yeah,
I thought it went well. You know,
I like it. It's got like a very jazzy, bluesy nightclub kind of tasteful vibe, but stylish and colorful as well. And I guess it's their festival light, so the audience knows who they are.
Yeah, I mean. It's undeniable.
Should put their social media handles right up there. I mean, might as well. I was thinking, like, how come more people don't drive around Random Thoughts with Adam with their, like, social media handles, their Twitter handle, like, on their car? People have bumper stickers for all kinds of stuff, like, and everybody's got a side hustle and a business. Like, maybe I should be making, like, Tedeschi Trucks podcast bumper stickers and just throw it on my car or whatever.
Hey, add it to the Patreon, subscription. You know, get a bumper sticker, $5.
Yeah, that's true. Or I could give away Tedeschi Trucks band. I have an extra Kofi T-shirt from Day of Service. I was thinking maybe doing something with that, a raffle or something.
Raffle it off.
Something. Yeah. Bourbon and Beyond also had the sign that says Suzanne. I'm assuming that's what she's referring to, the backdrop.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Whatever this is.
I have a question or a topic for discussion. I put the picture of Gabe up there, made me think about, it seems to me, and y'all can agree or disagree, but it's like Gabe have multiple voices. He'll have one voice for the TTB song, and then if he's emulating Greg Allman, he'll have a Greg Allman sounding voice. You know, I seems like I've heard multiple different sound voices from him, and I think that's very cool and interesting.
Yeah, he has a lot of range and styles, and Mike, I think the same could be said for Mike also. Like, Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But it's all him, and it's all authentic, and I don't get the sense that he's forcing a or a Greg Allman impression or anything like that. And I do hear sometimes Billy Joel, both in the piano playing, the songwriting, the styles, the voice, and all of that. And I asked him about that actually. I'm like, tell me about the Billy Joel influence on you. And it wasn't like this huge influence. It was an influence, but it wasn't like this huge influence that I was maybe hearing a little bit in my head. But some, people get influences and you don't even know. It just kind of seeps into your subconscious as you grow up and play music, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's necessarily emulating Greg or if it just goes with the song, it just, I don't know.
A little bit of both, maybe.
Yeah, trying to figure out how to word that, but
no, I get it.
Just,
I think it's just about knowing what song you're going to play and like perform. And I agree with you, Paul. His solo career stuff doesn't sound anything like what TTV, and not just the music, but like his singing is more intimate and more passion. Not passionate. Maybe not the best term. I'm saying it's more that Billy Joel lounge kind of focus. Of course,
songwritery, singer-songwriter.
Yeah. It's not
folk, maybe, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he has to turn on a different tone when he does sing Greg Allman, because he's trying to at least match the familiarity of the music. But when you talk about range, gosh, look at what Mark and Mike Madison can do. I mean, I don't even know how they make those sounds.
Mike can really, really hit some high note, falsetto, high notes, and you're just like, I don't know.
And low notes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very low notes. And
sometimes sometimes I don't know who it's Mike. I'm like, is that Mike? The first time I remember like hearing even like Right on Time, I'm like, who is this Mike? Who is that singing in that really low voice? But now you almost know just from the style of the song if it's a quirky, throwbacky kind of atmospheric vibe. It's definitely he just brings such a unique element to this band.
Oh, it really does. He really does.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out when they did Fly Medley not too long ago for an encore, and I happened to be listening to it, and I was trying to figure out who was doing like the talking voices. It didn't sound like any of the band members, but I would have to guess Mike. If it was different audio that I heard, there was kind of a talking part in the song.
Did falsetto? Is it that falsetto part?
A little bit,
that I'm thinking of. Yeah, is that? I think that is Mike. I'm not, because it's like a falsetto. It could almost sound like it's Alicia, but I think it's Mike.
Yeah, I think it is. It's either Mike or Mark, one of the two. I'm pretty sure Mark has a prominent role in that song too.
No, they all, encore style.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've never seen that live, so it's one of them.
I haven't either.
Actually, they always seem to not play it at the shows I go to, but maybe at the Fox this year.
Maybe. Yeah, Larry and I they're going to be hitting both nights at the Fox in about a month. Actually, exactly
about a month. Yeah, exactly a month, right? The 15th of November.
Nice.
Pretty excited about that.
I've been there.
Yeah.
That's a top venue. That's in the top. That's top 20. That's in the top 15 venues.
Yeah, that's actually where you and I met, Adam. If I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was the Beacon. It was at the Fox first time. I think we met at the Beacon too. Did we not meet at the Beacon? Am I imagining that also?
I don't think we met at the Beacon. But I know we met at the Fox.
The Fox,
2 summers ago.
Right. Yep.
You and I think your dad was there with
you. That's the only time I was there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm curious where you found all the pictures from our concert.
These are Larry's.
Oh, they're Larry's.
Well, I did a lot of trolling today, Paul.
These look semi or maybe more than semi-professional. This looks like,
This is gonna make you heartbroken, but
pixelation aside.
Yeah, I stumbled upon that they streamed this show during the concert, but for people that had signed up for the tickets or something, through the Riverfront Revival webcast, through the Facebook page, they had a stream going.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. They didn't notify you or anything, but I don't know if it was a video or audio, but they had these photos up and it said, enjoy a free stream during the concert. I don't know if any of the fans picked up on that or not, but
maybe
I
they'll
would
be able
love
to
it.
release something.
Hopefully, if they release it, that'd be pretty rad. But yeah,
they had I
So,
thought they had a pretty good camera crew. They had gigantic screens
my
on either
gosh.
side of the stage.
yeah. Adam, pull up that photo of Alicia that I sent you. That just kind of gives you an idea of the screen. You know, I've cropped it obviously, but
Yeah.
you know, that's a 40-foot screen, but the clarity was unbelievable. And that's her singing It Ain't Fair, just so passionate. And she really just, everyone that wasn't familiar with the song kind of was like humming along, but then when she really puts her soul out there, all these people were like, sing it, sister, or like, whoop. Like they were, I'm blown away, you know?
To sing a song like that, she must have some sort of emotional connection to the song. Like thinking of like an actor almost like taking on a role and connecting it to something in their own lives. I could almost like there's so much passion coming out of her voice and coming out of the song and Derek's guitar and the band on that. I almost just like think like she's like definitely channeling something from her personal or, you know, in there. Just I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just,
the
I'm
guy
sure it's a
next to
very
me goes-
meaningful song to sing Aretha and Dwayne, and you know, just the context probably means a lot emotionally.
Right. I mean, I was gonna make the comment. The guy next to me says, "I think she's crying."
Yeah.
Which is pretty intense to say that. I mean, she isn't obviously, but she's got that complete emotional, awestruck presence when she's just in the zone right there.
I'm surprised that they don't make themselves cry more on stage than they. I mean, obviously, there's certain moments like with Kofi, after his death, or
Right.
during certain external situations. But just sometimes because the music is so moving, I would almost be like, how do they not make themselves cry? I've seen Susan be moved by Derek solos and things like that, here and there. But even me, like I'm not when I play or sometimes sing or I'm doing a Tedeschi Truck song or something, I'm not a great singer or anything like that, and it's not the quality of the music that's moving me. But something about like the context and me playing these songs that are so meaningful to me personally and thinking about my life and God knows what, like it can be emotional. Like I don't know. You're not an asshole if you cry to your own music, is what I'm saying.
It's okay. We've all got a nerve to strike, You're not human if you don't. So I'm just not that good of a musician yet. So I'm only crying because I suck so bad and I'm making terrible.
I cry for more than one reason. It doesn't have to be just for one thing.
Yeah, it's funny, but I guess we should talk about the encore. Grace Bowers, that was pretty rad. She's a 18-year-old guitar. I don't know what the term would be. Just a up-and-coming pop rocker. I mean,
prodigy.
Prodigy. Yeah,
Too strong?
I don't know if she's
Probably not.
prodigy level. I mean, she's obviously very talented, but
talented is good.
I listened to her today for the first time, and I was impressed. I mean, it's maybe not something I dive too deep into, but someone who's 18 and can draw a huge crowd and impress people on guitar, that to me is worthy of listening again for sure.
Yeah, I got to dive in on her and the rest of this show. Yeah, I see her website. She uses the word prodigy. I apologize.
Okay, well, maybe she is. I mean, I like I said, I don't know too much about her. Paul, do you know anything about her?
I don't. I know of the name, and I knew she played earlier on Friday. Maybe before the Revivalists, sometime before I got there. Because I got there, the Revivalists were playing.
Right. Me too.
But I mean, I'd heard of her. I didn't realize she was only 18 though until I saw the 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 Jam Base article.
Yeah.
So,
The band does such a great job of like championing young up and coming artists, and also showing respect to the legacies and artists who've come before them, alive or not, through sharing the stage or through playing their music in their memory. Like, I don't know, this band does it right. What else can I say?
I agree.
What else is there to say?
I mean, that's the legacy they live, though. I mean, they know, both Susan and Derek understand about being young and being out there for the first time, and trying to make it at 18. They both were deeply involved in music at that point in their lives. So, to be their age now and then to see someone, almost worship them. I'm sure she was like awestruck to be there in their presence.
Yeah,
she even had an SG, so she was playing SG.
There was one time, I think it was when her and Derek were going back and forth during Show Me. There was a couple times she just like did her hair. She was like, I'm not sure how to comprehend this, and I'm up here, dueling guitars with Derek. It kind of struck me, that she was kind of not overwhelmed, but just,
Yeah, she was a little flustered, a little bit.
Flustered,
I think
being there.
Yeah, she kept bending down, trying to adjust her amp or her pedals or something, just to kind of get her head around it. But I mean, I couldn't imagine standing on that stage with horns and drummers and intensity and the fame and all those people that are created such incredible music for so long, and then you're supposed to take a solo. No way. I'd rather jump off a cliff.
It's just music.
Yeah.
It's just music.
It seemed like she was kind of taken aback when Derek nodded at her. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's your turn. Go for it. She rose to the occasion. She had a nice solo on both songs. So
nice.
And I was surprised. I didn't think they'd play another Prince song, but being in the vein of the Deuces Wild, I mean, we got two of them. So it's cool.
South Carolina's Prince country.
That's right. Well, yeah.
Well, he's big enough to. I mean, he's Prince, so obviously his music's popular anywhere. But obviously, they started the Prince covers in Minnesota.
In Minnesota, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show you my list. I didn't show you that. You can't see it because I'm not doing it. There it is. There it is.
That's Brandon, right. You did get it signed.
Yeah, I was after the show. I was walking out along that bridge, and Brandon just dips out from behind the festival grounds. He had his bass on his back in his bag, and he was walking out. And I was like, "Hey, Brandon," and he's like, "Hey." I was like, "Great show." And he's like, "Thanks." And I was like, "Will you sign my list?" He's like, "Sure, man." And he signs it, and he's like, "What's your name?" I was like, "My name's Larry." He's like, "I'm Brandon." I was like, "Well, no shit." And I took a second to tell him that I felt like the music sounded bigger, obviously being a festival setting, but I felt like the bass was way turned up.
It was. I noticed that too.
Heard it. And it sounded so more complete and robust. And not to take away from a theater setting, but they need to always start turning him up. At least 2 or 3 notches, because Friday night was just, it gave him that big, robust festival sound, but I think it also kind of evened out Derek's guitar. So it wasn't Derek's guitar for the first time I've ever seen him since he was, I think I saw him when he was 14. It wasn't the most overpowering thing on the stage, which is really surprising.
But it still always cuts through. It's not like you can't hear it. And your ear, and the reason I was going to say I like turning up the bass too a little bit, because my ear, and I think people are drawn to different sounds. Like some people are drawn more to the rhythm and the drums, other people more drawn to guitars or vocals, at least initially, in terms of how I think people digest, ingest, and hear music. So I think pumping up the bass is a little bit good, especially for me. The way I'm more probably drawn to the mid ranges and the guitar, obviously, I'm very drawn to guitar work. But I think pumping up the bass is definitely something that is good for at least for my ear. I think I love to hear it.
Yeah, well, you
it's very
feel
ear
it more.
catching.
Yeah, you feel it, and you feel
That's
the
what I was
bass,
getting
and
ready to
you're
say.
drawing the music a little bit more intense.
I enjoy being able to feel it, and then
Yeah.
I agree that it was more noticeable than probably any of the other shows I've ever been to, whether they were amphitheater or a theater, or I think I've been to one that was in like a basketball stadium type venue in Asheville.
Okay.
And normally I don't hear I don't really hear Brandon bass a whole lot, but I definitely heard it Friday night.
No, he's definitely the quietest member on stage when it comes to like solos or just being played. All he kind of just muddled in there with the kick drums. But this was the first time he was pronounced, and I told him that. I was like, look, as a long-term fan here, dude, you got to promote yourself a little bit more and get that bass turned up, because we loved it tonight. It sounded great. And he was really like, really? Okay, thanks a lot, and then he left. Yeah. Like,
you must have been walking out right around me, because I saw him walking out. I looked for you, but I didn't see you.
Yeah, I had to get back. I actually was walking by and I saw the van take off, and it had
a van.
Yeah, in the
I
van.
saw Gabe through the window of the van.
Yeah.
I saw Gabe. I don't know who else was in there, but I saw Gabe come out the window.
But that's what I'm talking about with. I was gonna say that's what I'm talking about with the access. Like, if this band was like, the Rolling Stones, you're not gonna be walking next to the musicians on the bridge and shooting the shit and having casual conversations. At least not as much, not as easily, and whatnot.
No.
So like, I guess we should probably cherish this on some level, that we're able to have these sort of, the normal human interactions, even if they're just short and brief and quick, saying great show, like sign my thing, whatever, you sounded great. Like, it just makes that much of a richer, deeper experience, and like makes you want to see the band that much more sooner than later and listen to them that much more, and like, as if any of this is even possible.
It gives you a little connection to the band,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I will say they looked a little tired. I mean, they played at a 10 level plus, but I would say you could tell they had been playing a lot and on the road a lot. And I think they did 7 shows in 11 days in October. So that's a lot. So, and they've been in New York and Boston, and then they flew back to South Carolina, and then they're off. So you could tell they were all ready to get the hell out of there and go on home and have some downtime before they have to start their tour up again. And
you got 9 shows in the first half of November, all in the first half, and then I guess that Fox is the last show. That's the D-Day.
That's the D-Day. Yeah, that's it for 2024.
Yeah, so maybe they're tired now, but they're about to get some plenty.
They'll
of
get
time
some rest.
to rest.
They're road warriors, and this is what they do for a profession. And that's the thing. I don't want to take away from the music at all, but you could see that they've been on the road for a while, and I mean, but if this was the only show they played all year, I mean, you couldn't tell the difference. It was amazing.
I mean, one way to look at it is if the band, if this extended time off is what we presume is going to be happening as of like nothing on the schedule until May, like if that's what they really want and that's what they really need, and if that's what they really want and need to make themselves a better band, a band that can sustain itself even longer into the future, whether it's more future touring, obviously whatever album and recording they're writing and recording they're working on. I mean, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, or not benefit of the doubt, but I'm not going to complain. If they need to take a few months off to give us amazing music, more amazing music into the second half of 2025, whether it's touring or releasing stuff, y'all do whatever you got to do.
Yeah, I'm on board with that too. I mean, we got to be lucky they tour when they do and how often and where they go. I mean, they just did coast to coast. If you don't really consider the break between summer and fall, I mean, they went to all over this year. Australia, right?
Was that this year?
I think that wasn't that.
I can't even remember. I'm losing it.
No, you've done so many shows.
That might be last year.
I don't know. I can't remember either. Maybe if we get it all together.
I think it was earlier this year.
I thought it was too, right? I think they went to Japan. Didn't they go to Japan this year too?
That was
last year. Okay.
The year before with Europe or in England.
Sometimes I forget when I went to shows. Was that Atlanta? That was 2022, 2 years ago.
Yep.
2 years ago.
Summer, yeah.
That was my first trip to the Fox, and then I went last summer, and then I would say the Fox might be my favorite venue that I've been to. The Beacon's
Why is
up
that
there
one?
too.
Why Fox your favorite?
I just really like it's a bigger venue. I don't know. I just like it. Maybe because it's nearby. Well, I say nearby, it's like 5 hours away, but I don't know.
It just seemed very nice. It's very friendly. It's like easy. It's simple.
It's a bigger theater than some of the others. Definitely bigger.
It's definitely the premier venue in the Southeast, I would say, as far as theaters go. I mean, it is just gorgeous. It's set up in that 1920s Art Deco style with the influence, the Middle Eastern influence, and you walk in with the Arabian skyline at the top, and it's just a gorgeous.
Those stars actually move up there, too.
Yeah,
during
I've
the show.
seen them move on multiple occasions, physically and mentally. I have a long history with the Fox when I was in college, so I'm excited to go back myself, especially for 2 nights. So.
Many Fox theaters are named Fox because of the influence of William Fox, the founder of Fox Film Corporation, and a network of theaters he developed in the early 20th century. I guess it makes. I was like, why are there so many Foxes?
Yep.
I guess it's all one thing.
It's all one.
We're all owned by 3 corporations, is what I'm saying.
I was going to say Disney, Fox, and Turner.
Warner. It's all one thing.
It's all one thing. Yeah.
Citibank, Disney, corporation. Take my money. Anyway.
Take my money. Yeah.
On that note, though we're all corporate slaves note, just kidding. A little bit. Anything else you guys want to mention or talk about or cover? Or... I appreciate the time. I know it's getting late. Past Paul's bedtime. Past your bedtime too, probably.
I'm gonna go on a limb here and just say that if anyone's contributing to the North Carolina Flood Relief Fund, please do so. As a personal person that has gone through that area and lived in North Carolina, the devastation is completely just, I can't even describe it. It's just beyond words. Whole little mining towns that were thriving for 100 years are completely wiped out. And it's just awful. I don't know how to describe it beyond just something you never thought would ever happen to these people. So if you're contributing to that, please do. But I know once the weather starts to get really cold up there, it's going to be a very hard winter for a lot of people.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that for sure. Yeah. And I'll try to share something where people could donate and support for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to have the Asheville show. I would highly doubt it since the venue is still being used as a shelter. But I suspect there'll be lots and lots of concerts to benefit Asheville region, Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee.
Yeah, we were talking about that show last episode. I think people were mentioned it, that I thought of maybe moving it to another place and doing a benefit type thing, which would be probably a good idea. I don't know. I'm sure. I can only imagine. Like, obviously, I can only imagine people suffering the devastation. But on I guess a lighter note, like just the logistics of figuring out how to readjust tours and scheduling, it's probably such a nightmare for all parties involved, whether it's people organizing these shows or a big operation like TTB. Even well-oiled, it's still a pain in the ass to deal with adjustments. But I guess if that's all you're dealing with is scheduling, you should be grateful. And I guess we should all be grateful for what we have and whatnot,
Yeah.
I complain too much.
I do too. I mean, until you live through something like this, and I haven't personally, I can only imagine what their lives are like right now. So
why is life like that? Like it's all relative. Trivial things seem like a big deal until something not trivial happens, and it's like, oh, that really wasn't a big deal. I was upset about.
Right. You do have to take a pause and like refresh. Think about others, and how fortunate we have this band, and they're still going well, and there's 12 talented members that are active, and they want to be in the band, and we're in a good spot, so, and they sound great.
Good.
Yeah, man.
Good stuff. Anything else, Paul? What do you got? Anything else you want to share or mention, or I'll give you the.
I think we've covered quite a bit.
Let me see if I can capture Wednesday, and I'll show everyone the kitten before we sign off.
Nice. Tedeschi Trucks Zoo. I'll work on the name, but here we go. How is a baby? Is a baby cat, aka a kitten.
There we go. She's now famous on the internet.
Yeah,
so.
I said it was very cute kitten.
Yes, she's very cute. Say bye-bye, everybody. Oh, gosh.
Feisty.
Yes, she is. She's wonderful. All right. Well, Adam, thank you again for having me.
Oh, thank you, Larry. Thank you, Paul. Let you guys get on with the rest of your night.
Thank you, Adam.
And let's talk soon. You guys said you're going to more show. You were going to Asheville?
No, I went to the Asheville show like a year and a half ago. It's in the same venue in November, and it's like a Coliseum type venue.
Yeah.
But like Larry said, I do believe they're using it for either a shelter or staging area or something. So I don't know I wasn't planning to go to it. I had to pick, one weekend, and I picked the Fox instead of.
Oh yeah, you're both going to the Fox. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll talk about that one too. I'm sure I'm down. Maybe Larry will do a year-end thing as well. But thank you again, guys. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you,
Adam. Thanks again. Keep up the good work.
You got it. Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Good night. Good night, Paul.
Later. So there you go. What was that, episode 177? Recapping TTB at Riverfront Revival in North Charleston, South Carolina. Is that right? Am I in the right place here? But yeah, that was super fun talking to those guys. Hope everyone's doing okay out there. Please subscribe on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. I'll get the audio version out soon. Definitely subscribe on YouTube. That's appreciated. Patreon.com/TTB podcast to support. TedeschiTrucksPodcast.com will send you to all the links related to the show, relevant links. AdamChoit.com for everything else I'm working on. TedeschiTrucksBand.com is the band's official website. Definitely. What do we got? Nine shows left. I said it before, so definitely get on that before the end of the year, before we get a long ass break, and don't miss out. Swamp Family fan club is definitely something you want to join as well. Download the app. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you to the band, the fans, podcast supporters, guests, the crew. I think that's pretty much it. I'll let you all enjoy the rest of your evenings now, and we'll definitely talk soon. I'll recap more shows in November for sure. More stuff coming down the pike. Take care, guys. Later.